simplification is a strategic advantage. So the faster you move, right, speed is greater than size, the more innovative and successful you'll be. So if you're operating with complexity every day, you can't compete. So a lot of people, especially big companies, they can't afford not to simplify because they won't be able to not compete with the big guys, but unfortunately not compete with the new guys. And that's really where the red flags are.
Welcome to another episode of the peopleHum interview series. I'm your host Zia, and let's begin with a quick introduction of peopleHum. peopleHum is an end-to-end, one-view integrated human capital management automation platform, the winner of the 2019 Global Cody Award for HCM that is specifically built for crafted employee experience and the future of work. We run the peopleHum blog and video channel, which receives upwards of 200,000 visitors a year, and publish around 2 interviews with well-known names globally every month. And for now, our guest, Lisa Bodell, is an award-winning author and CEO of FutureThink. She was recently selected as one of the top 50 keynote speakers in the world. She serves as a Global Council member of the World Economic Forum, a regular contributor to Women at Forbes, a featured contributor to Harvard Business Review, and a popular TED Talk. Lisa has appeared on NPR, Fox News, and in Fast Company, The New York Times, and Wired, among others. Lisa is Extraordinary Advisory Board member at National Security Agency. Welcome, Lisa. We're thrilled to have you here today.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here, and thank you for the kind introduction.
Of course. So, for the first question I had for you, Lisa, was, you've had quite an exciting journey so far. Can you tell us your story about how you came to be the CEO at FutureThink?
Sure. You know, the way I like to describe it is that it's been a bit of strategic luck. So I've always had a plan, but you know, the best laid plans kind of get pushed aside depending on what's happening. And I started my career in advertising. And I always like to be a very strategic person in a creative environment. And my frustration in advertising was that they only thought that certain people in the creative department were in charge of coming up with new ideas. And I thought I had great ideas, and I thought my colleagues had great ideas, and I thought that was really ridiculous, that there was so much missed potential, right, with people and their skills and their diverse perspectives by only saying a certain group of people could come up with really innovative things. So I left, and at the time I started a new company, and I decided that I was going to teach people to be innovative because I believe that everyone can be innovative. They just need to know how, and they need to have the permission. And so that's what I did at FutureThink, is we came up with the tools and the training to give them those skills that can make them not just subject matter experts, but frankly, give them those power skills like innovation, creativity, agility, that really make you those high potential or successful people in companies.
That's amazing. It's really inspiring to see, you know, how you kind of decided to, you know, take a stance on something you believe in and just, you know, move forward with it. And I think creativity is becoming more and more important, and it's something that, you know, a skill that a lot of people have and they just need to know how to develop. So it's really, really cool what you're doing. So you're the author of the best-selling book called Why Simple Wins, and you often talk about killing complexity. So when and how did you first begin to realize that complexity was killing businesses?
I love this question. It's a great question. You know, it's when did that kind of light bulb moment happen? It happened in a really bad client meeting. You know, we've all had good meetings and bad meetings. And there was like this light bulb moment because I have my trainers, right? They go all over the world and they teach people creativity and change and futuring, all this stuff that should be exciting and fun and like inspiring and interesting, right? And there was one day when one of my trainers came back to the office. They had just been abroad, and I forget what country they had traveled to, but they were so frustrated. And I asked them why. And they said, you know, I went there to go teach creativity and innovation, but they acted like they didn't really want me there. And I said, what do you mean? And what we talked about was that the very people that were bringing us in to teach creativity and change were often the very people that were holding us back from doing it when we got there. It made no sense. And what we realized was, it's not that people didn't want to innovate, but they saw it as like one more thing on their to-do list. So let's go through the motions of training, but then after this, we realize we're not going to be able to be empowered to do anything about it. It's just, there's too much other work to be done. And so what that made us realize is it's not that people don't want to be innovative. It's that they have too much other unnecessary work that's getting in the way for them to get there. So we realized that the front end of innovation isn't coming up with the ideas. It's simplifying your work so you have the space to come up with the ideas in the first place. So we created a whole new front end of innovation to simplify how you work so you can get the space to think of new things.
That's amazing. And I think, simplifying things is very, very important, especially when, you're trying to, encourage people to do something. And even at peopleHum, for example, we really try to create a very user-friendly, simple interface. So just so that people can use it more easily and are encouraged to engage with it. So
Exactly.
yeah, complexity is something that, kind of slows the whole process down. So yeah, that's pretty amazing to see.
Well, and companies like yours will win because if you really think about the user in mind and simplifying, what you're saying to the user is you value their time and you want it to be frictionless to deal with you. And people will appreciate that more and pay more if you give them a frictionless experience. Because, again, you made it worth their time. It's a non-renewable resource. We will never get more time back.
Absolutely. And, speaking of simplifications, you work with a lot of different companies and groups. Can you provide maybe like an example or two of amazing outcomes they've achieved through simplification?
Oh God, there's so many. There's so many. I'll give you a really simple one where we work with Sprint Telecom, and they were just drowning in meetings and emails. By the way, that's what most people say. When you say, what do they spend their day doing? Almost unanimously, people say meetings and emails. And that's not what we're hired to do. I mean, at least I'm assuming that you weren't hired for your good email and meeting skills. You were hired for something bigger. So Sprint took on, we did with them something called a meeting audit. This sounds so easy, but no one does it. And we had these really rogue, provocative groups within Sprint be tasked with auditing every meeting in their group, from weekly, monthly, quarterly, random ones, and they were charged with getting rid of 50% of them. So everyone had to really fight to keep their meeting, and if there wasn't a real reason for it, it was killed. And they didn't kill 50% of their meetings in these groups, but they killed 18% of them. That's the same equivalent of getting back half a day of time every single week for every person in that group. So what a great example of something super simple you can do. Take the minute to audit all these zombie meetings that you have, get rid of the ones that no longer serve any purpose because they've outlived their time, and get that time back for work that matters. So that's a really simple technique that we've seen done. One other one I love is when we did at Pfizer, and it's called Kill a Stupid Rule. And I took 800 of their executives into breakout rooms. We broke them up by function and business unit. One room is oncology, and the other one's diabetes, and the other one's procurement, because they all have different rules. And my facilitators told them that they would have 15 minutes with a partner, and they could brainstorm as many rules as possible that hold them back from doing more valuable work. In a matter of 15 minutes across those 800 people, and then for 30 minutes after that by discussing them, they came up with over 1,000 unnecessary rules, processes, procedures that saved them in that hour in total over $250,000 and hundreds of hours of time. A simple technique. Everyone had the ideas on their own. It cost them nothing to do it, and they already saved money and time. So it's such a cool thing to do, and people feel so empowered and jazzed and excited about it. I don't know why a company wouldn't want to simplify.
Absolutely, yeah, 100% agree with you on that. And simplification is very, very important. But we spoke about innovation and simplification. So I'd love to know how you think that innovation and simplification work together.
It goes along a little bit of those lines, how we realized that it was simplification is the front end of innovation. So one of the things I like to say is culture is the work that you do every day. And if the work you do every day is meetings and emails, that's your culture. And if the work that you do every day is brainstorming new ideas and reaching out to clients and striking new partnerships, that's your culture. So we want to change the culture to simplify so people have more time to be external, to do more innovative things and not do busy work. So what we realize is that simplification allows you to get rid of unnecessary things that don't add any value. And you need to do that first. And then that gives you the space to actually think, not be stressed, not get stuck in a rut of doing just processes that you don't even know why you're doing them. And you can add more value to the company. Until you simplify, you'll never have enough time to come up with those great ideas.
That's very, very true, actually. And putting them together and making them work is so important to kind of make processes better and just kind of optimize an organization's entire functioning. So that was all very, very insightful. And lastly, do you have maybe any sound bites for our audience today?
I have so many. I have so many things to think about. The writing a book on simplification was a really good journey for me because I realized that I'm not as simplified as I thought I would. I thought I was very productive and I'm very organized, but that is not the same thing as simplified. I'm sure there are many people here that say they're type A, they get a tremendous amount done, but it's not about how much you get done. It's how much valuable work do you get done. So don't confuse organized with being simplified, right? We want to look at our to-do lists every day, and it's not about how much you get done on your to-do list. Is it valuable things on your to-do list in the first place? That's one thing. Another thing I would say is, simplification is pretty much free. It's about stopping doing things, eliminating things, not spending time or money on things. So again, it's a really compelling way to save money, not spend it. And then I want to build on one more point about, culture is, simplification is a strategic advantage. So the faster you move, right, speed is greater than size, the more innovative and successful you'll be. So if you're operating with complexity every day, you can't compete. So a lot of people, especially big companies, they can't afford not to simplify because they won't be able to not compete with the big guys, but unfortunately not compete with the new guys. And that's really where the red flags are. So people that are small and nimble and agile, they will be able to simplify and move faster. Large companies, they better make simplicity a habit so they can actually be more innovative and better compete.
Those are some very, very important, I think, key points that a lot of businesses need to consider, especially to be successful. It's increasingly becoming more important to take simplification into account. And it was a pleasure kind of hearing your point of view and your insights on it and learning about it from you. And I'm sure our audience will really, really appreciate all the insights you had to share.
Well, one good point, we're launching some free resources on a brand new website. We're an accelerated learning company and there's going to be free resources on there. So if people want to come to futurethink.com and check out some of the free resources, because we really want to help people start making simplicity a habit, because it benefits everyone. And along the lines of what you do, it helps people reach their potential. And that's really what it's all about.
Of course. I'm sure I'm going to check it out, and I'm sure people that watch this will be interested too as well. So it was a pleasure talking to you, Lisa, and I really appreciate your sharing and your time today.
Thank you. It was a real pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.